Welcome to the Wealth Guide podcast. Today we're joined by Zaynah Altaf, Head of Human Resources at Nepean. We will explore the crucial role of financial well-being in the workplace. Zaynah, an advocate for employee empowerment and a member of the UN Women Australia, will share insights into how Nepean has developed its comprehensive financial well-being program, the successes they've observed, and the future trends she anticipates in this area. She'll discuss the importance of these programs and provide practical advice for HR leaders looking to implement similar strategies. Join us as we uncover how companies like Nepean are paving the way for financial literacy in the workplace and learn how you can apply these practices to benefit your organization and employees. So without any further ado, let's jump into today's episode.
Thanks, Zaynah, for joining me. Look, I was hoping you could tell me a little bit about your role in HR and how you sort of come into that HR role.
Yeah, great. I don't want to say that I fell into it because it definitely wasn't the case. Yeah. But I studied law and business. So I do a degree there with finishing up at Monash University there in Melbourne. Early into the degree, I realised that maybe law's not for me. I wasn't as passionate as I potentially could be. And when I came across the human resources space, I knew that was my calling and decided to start a career early whilst I was studying my degree. So I started off with a company called Randstad within the recruitment space and specialising within white-collar recruitment there, and had the opportunity to go and work in other countries like Hong Kong, Singapore and Malaysia, and doing some solid research around talent attraction and the current labour market there at that point in time. After finishing that contract, I decided that I needed to move into the management space and was lucky enough to work with a company called CG Recruitment. And I became the state manager recruiting blue-collar employees across New South Wales. And that was also quite an eye-opening experience because it's really intriguing to see how not only the recruitment world works, but also the complex problems around keeping people employed, the challenges that they have when it comes to getting paid, staying employed, and the challenges revolving around a manufacturing environment. Then I realised, okay, this is great, but then I want to dig deeper within HR, and I came across went into an internal space called Bay Corp, and I was assigned as a HR advisor there. And in my short term there, it was not only hiring debt collectors, but also keeping them employed and understanding the intricacies around employing people within the financial product space. Then from there, I worked in a company called Dakin and was the head of talent acquisition there across the APAC space. And again, similar challenges around talent acquisition, but it was my first sort of real space on understanding HR from an employment relation and an industrial relation perspective. Then I worked as a HR business partner for a company called Star Electrical. That was really cool. That company was actually responsible for putting the lights on for the Crown Casino.
Oh, wow.
So it was really cool actually. And I got to see not only casino being built from the ground up, but also help them out when it came to employee-related issues there within a heavily unionised environment there. You have some pretty interesting challenges. And then with COVID also being hit there, it was also an interesting time to make sure that everyone stayed employed. They felt protected by their employer. And then I had the unique opportunity to move to where I am now, which is Nepean.
Yeah, awesome. And I'd say that, particularly in HR, there's a certain skill set that's required.
Absolutely.
What sort of essential skills would you say is required in HR?
Person needs to be driven to help people. They need to be comfortable solving complex problems, having difficult conversations, comfortable with change, and always be willing to go out of their way to help people.
Yeah. So I'm going to ask about when you were working at Crown.
Yeah.
Did you ever get to meet James Packer?
No, unfortunately not. I did get to see his apartment though.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I did. It was a pretty cool apartment.
I can imagine it'd be just absolutely grand.
It was fantastic. Yeah, absolutely.
Look, I'd imagine a number of those conversations would be around finances.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit about the financial wellbeing program that you've got in place there at Nepean?
So it's probably become more prominent now more than ever with the current economic market, as so to speak. And when you look at it holistically, many people are currently facing financial stress, and whether it might be due to debt, living expenses, or unexpected financial emergencies. this sort of stress can impact a person's health, specifically their mental health. But then when we equate that to the workplace there, it can impact not only their performance and relationships whilst at work, but it can impact in higher absenteeism. It can impact their productivity whilst at work, and also lower levels of engagement within the workplace. Now, as these financial concerns do continue to grow more complex, we as employers have it's perceived expectation that we actually need to be able to support the employees in navigating these challenges. And having a financial wellbeing program put in place there, Gianni, with Mayfair, that's actually run in conjunction with Ryker Capital and Tact Advisory, helps us alleviate these pressures by letting our employees have the best resources in the industry to help them be educated in not only their financial position, but also getting the best deals in the market when it comes to financial products.
Yeah, because there is that element of care, if anything, to ensure that your employees are getting the most out of their working life as well. So I think that's really important. So maybe, Ray, from an advisor's perspective, what do you think is most important in terms of that financial wellbeing program, and what are some of the long-term benefits of having a financial wellbeing program in place?
Look, I think, Gianni, from an advisor perspective, it's mostly around making sure the structure that you create for some of these employees are impactful. Now, obviously, I've been in financial services for 19 years, right, and worked with a number of different HR managers and employees of the group. Obviously, to Zaynah's point, most of the time what we've sort of seen is not about sort of giving the increased pay or increasing their salaries. Because I know for myself, because the more higher the pay goes, higher my lifestyle expenses goes. So you can no longer cater for that. So it's more about sort of creating that financial literacy. It's about teaching staff how to fish. Now, what I mean by fishing there is, how do you explain them at the grassroots level what a budget is? How do you manage your money, your cash flow expenses? How do you ensure that some of the stuff that I've got for some of the employees, whether it's the super fund, whether it's the insurance policy that's associated with it, they're all appropriate and sort of hits the mark for the employees?
Yeah, there's an element of going from unconscious incompetence to conscious incompetence. And a lot of it is like just teaching people how to fish. And once you know, okay, this is how I fish, then you have a lot more respect for that element of financial wellbeing. Maybe, Zaynah, I was hoping you could tell me a little bit about how Nepean developed its financial wellbeing program as well, and what are some of the key components that they look for?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. I think, so we were in the market for quite some time looking for a robust product that complemented our employee value proposition quite well. And we wanted something that was new, innovative, somewhat sexy, but also spoke to the employees and they actually retained true value from a benefit. So we were actually lucky enough to work in conjunction with the team at Mayfair with the help of Ray as well. And we're actually able to handcraft the program that allows us to offer two major components. So the first component itself, it is a financial wellness check that actually applies to all employees across our organisation in Australia. And essentially they get to sit down with a financial planner and do an assessment of their financial health. So they can sit down and talk about their mortgage, any debts that they may have, financial position at the moment, any future goals, any concerns that they've got. They can talk about their superannuation position. They can talk about their insurances and potentially even create plans for future retirement and even tax planning. The second component of it is where the financial planner there deems the need to get further assistance within the team there at Mayfair, then they actually get additional support employed. And what that would mean is, let's say an employee comes forward and says, I want to potentially look at a refinance for my current mortgage. They would then engage a mortgage broker to come in and support that person.
Okay. Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
And how do you support in that aspect, Ray? What sort of part do you play as a financial planner in developing that program?
There's multiple aspects there, Gianni. Now, if you look at the construct of any kind of financial wellbeing program, then there's various in the market, and they can range from providing counselling services, budgeting. I heard that word, budgeting. It's like put me on a diet. Look, for us, it was more about going, well, look, how can we sort of create an impactful financial wellbeing program that actually makes an impact? Now, it was more about going, right, yes, there is counselling. Yes, we're going to help you with the budget side, but let us really hold your hand and create an impactful side. Now, what does that mean? So when we sit down with an employee, we sort of understand their cash flow position to go, how can we manage your cash flow a little bit better? Because I see some of the streaming services that you're using. Do we really need it?
Yeah.
Some of the stuff that we're sort of spending on takeouts, going out, how much of that can we manage without obviously killing your lifestyle? So starting at that grassroots level, then sort of going, well, okay, because in the financial modeling side, there's not only just the budgeting side, there's the taxes, there's a super, there's the insurances, there's a mortgage. So there's a whole lot of impactful stuff that makes the financial wellbeing program. So to cut the red tape, we engage the services of different advisory firms, whether it be the mortgage side, Salmon through tax, to go, well, okay, let's create an impactful financial wellbeing program for some of the employees that we're sort of working with and address each of these key component issues. How can we manage your taxes a little bit better? Because that will see you a better outcome on the tax return side. That adds extra dollars to your cash flow. How do we manage your mortgages a little bit better? You're paying an extra 1% on a $700,000 loan. That's extra $7,000 that we've just discharged out. How can we manage that side better? So engaging the services of a mortgage broker then allows us to save further $7,000. How do we engage in retirement planning side or your superannuation side? Because this is going to be your money for the long term. Then we started to have a look at some of the super structures and strategies and insurances in there, because if something was also to happen to you, what is the safety net that we've got that will cover you, whether in the perspective of your life insurance, your disability, or your wage cover?
Yeah, 100%. And I think this is all about, again, financial literacy and education. I think there's an element that comes before this as well. And to use your fishing analogy, like you can teach someone to fish, but how do you get them to go fishing?
Yeah.
So maybe a question for you, Zaynah, is how do you encourage employees to take part in these financial wellbeing programs?
Excellent question. And it's really important to outline how crucial that education component is, especially when the program is so new and many employers don't really utilise such programs. So what we did with the team here is we were able to actually hold a launch program where the team actually came out on site and held on-site awareness sessions, whether it was over lunch or a coffee or a morning tea. Thanks, Ray, for hosting. Thanks, Salmon, for hosting. But essentially, these guys, they came out on site and they didn't just get a business development representative to speak to the employees about what the program is. There was a person out from Tact Advisory. There was a person out from Ryker. There was a superannuation consultant from Colonial and even mortgage brokers out. And throughout the awareness session, they actually built the know-how around the current changes and how the employees can take a real benefit from these changes. And from that, it created a real sort of inertia around, okay, well, there's some awareness here. How do I get some further information around it? And immediately in these awareness sessions, there was sign-ups where employees have said, okay, I'd like some more information on my super, or can you sit down and walk me through my tax position and how can you help me figure out my finances? So from that, once an employee actually engages on the session, they're obviously very happy about it. I do understand that there's quite a high conversion rate from these sessions and actually utilising the program and engaging in these services. And it's completely obligation free. So they feel a lot more comfortable to go in and have the conversation and potentially coming out, having a think about it and then engaging upon that. But because of that positive experience, they're then talking to their colleagues. And then creates a sense of confidence around, okay, I feel a lot more comfortable going ahead and engaging these services.
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest barriers to a successful program as well. And that's the barrier to entry in actually seeking advice as well. So one of the biggest benefits employees can provide is doing what you've done at Nepean and getting that team of experts, those financial services experts in place to reduce that barrier to entry as well. Ray, in your experience, what are some of the other challenges that you think employers face when they're trying to implement these sort of programs?
Jenny, I think the biggest issue that most employers or HR managers face is they don't know what to look for. They don't know what this construct of a financial wellbeing plan ever should look like. So whilst they have all the good intentions and want to create and set up the right program, we are looking at a very surface level of a financial wellbeing program. As I mentioned initially, it was all about counselling and budgeting and the basic part. But the employee still goes home after that coaching session to go, well, what's next?
Yeah.
Where do I go from here? Who's going to help me do this? Where do I look for these services? Who's reputable, right? So, and these are some of the issues that we wanted to sort of really solve that from financial wellbeing program part. So initially, whenever these sort of employers are looking at it, they really need to look at these impactful financial wellbeing programs to go, what is the actual material impact that you're going to have in the employees? Give me an example of some of the stuff that you've done for some of the clients, and what is financial impact that's created for some of these individual employees. And that's I think would be a good starting point for the employers.
Today's episode of the Wealth Guide podcast is proudly sponsored by Ryker Capital. In a world full of financial uncertainties, Ryker Capital understand the importance of safeguarding your lifestyle and the well-being of your loved ones. That's why we're committed to providing you with personally tailored insurance plans and financial advice that aligns with your unique needs and goals. Ryker Capital is your guide in the complex world of superannuation and retirement planning. Our team of experts are dedicated to helping you navigate these complexities with ease and confidence. We're here to empower you with the knowledge and strategies you need to build wealth and secure your future. At Ryker Capital, we offer a comprehensive range of services designed to optimize your superannuation. We work closely with you to determine the best contribution strategy, regularly review your superannuation fund, set achievable financial goals. Our coaching and consulting services ensure your financial plan stays on track with regular reviews to adjust to your changing circumstances and aspirations. Don't leave your financial future to chance. Take control today with Ryker Capital. Contact us for an obligation-free discussion about your financial plan by calling us on 1300 179 537. Let us help you secure your finances because you deserve it. Ryker Capital, your trusted partner in financial success. I think those case studies are really important because that's a good way of maintaining engagement as well.
Yeah.
So not only do you bring this team of financial services experts that are readily available, you reduce the barrier to entry, but then you provide case studies, you provide a bit of a plan, and you sort of say, well, this is how you can get out of this position and then move along. How else do you feel that employers can maintain engagement in these financial wellbeing programs and not sort of just be a flash in the pan sort of thing?
Yeah, and I think I'll mention about that part of the process that Zaynah sort of put us through. So it was really around testing the whole part of the process. So it was always about testing to go, well, okay, tell me how this will have an impact. How will tax create any benefit of an employee situation? We were thrown a circumstantial situation for one of the staff that an event was going through for this particular staff. So go, well, how will you particularly add to their lifestyle? What are some of the financial advantages they can gain out of it? To keep them engaged, I think it is a long-term process. We are constantly engaged with the employees on a regular basis at Nepean, where we'll sort of not only send out a regular, any kind of impactful change that were either happening on the taxes side, on the mortgage front, on the superannuation front, on the tax rules front, and that communication will constantly go out, and so the employees are constantly engaged, going, well, okay, this is some of the changes that are happening. It will start to relate to me. Not everyone's going to sort of look to adapt those changes straight away, but it does take a little bit of time to sort of those changes to have a meaningful impact. Yeah,
100%. If anybody engages in a program like that, I suppose one of the biggest things that they want to know is, can they see the light at the end of the tunnel? Is the juice worth the squeeze sort of thing? And to maintain engagement, they need to be able to answer their own question, what's in it for me, I guess.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And Zaynah, maybe as an employee or as an employer's representative, how do you measure success on the back of these financial wellbeing programs?
Yeah, excellent question. So again, with the help of the team here at Mayfair, what they've been able to do is actually provide us with a utilisation report every quarter. And again, it's totally confidential. So it's not like we know which users are utilising which service and what they've been able to engage. But it does provide us with an indication on which workplaces are actually engaging in this benefit. And if they are engaging, what sort of services are they most interested in? An example I could potentially give to you there as well is there was a recent launch exercise that the team did in one of our facilities, and we had about 100 people attending the event. And at the end of the event, there was about 82 sign-ups to say that they want further information. So that alone is a high conversion rate. But then in addition to that, there has been stronger engagement after these sessions as well. So they are actually coming back and saying thank you because I've actually learned a lot more about my finances there. I feel a lot more confident about it. And in return, it tells us that the utilisations are actually quite strong, and therefore the reports are quite accurate as well.
Yeah, because I'd imagine there'd be a number of sort of soft and hard metrics. Like you mentioned one there, conversion, sort of like the number of people that actually went forward and took up the program and seeked out services. But what about other metrics like employee engagement at work or overall contentment in the workplace? You know, are they sort of metrics that you measure?
Yeah, look, we do measure it. However, holistically speaking, we can't really dive it down directly to this financial wellness program there at this point. It's currently still in its launch phase. If you can ask me back in 12 months, I'll be able to give you some solid stats.
I'll check in a year.
But what we have noticed is that there definitely has been a spike in engagement levels. Without divulging too much information, we can say that the turnover ratios have definitely decreased in the past 3 months from the time that we've implemented the program. There has also been a stronger level of confidence within the workplace because people are now starting to talk about their finances in a lot more of an open manner. We've also had employees come back to say that I'm now not looking for another job because you guys are providing benefits that other employees don't provide, which is a real added benefit for us. If anything, it contributes to us as it being a decisive advantage there when we look at our EVP holistically.
Yeah, I was going to ask that actually. Are you finding now that employees are less likely to leave their job because they're sort of thinking, I'd imagine that people in this current economic climate are sort of thinking, I've put myself into financial strife because I've mismanaged my money. As a result, I need to find a job that pays more now because I can't get any more out of my current employer. So I'd imagine that would be one of the metrics that you're looking at closely on the back of this financial wellbeing program.
Look, it's been proven in many white papers there that companies that do offer such high caliber programs there do demonstrate a higher sense of commitment towards their employees, and therefore in return there is higher engagement and loyalty from the employees. And then again, in a competitive job market, offering such programs does attract high caliber talent, but then in return does help reduce the impact of high turnover as well. We at Nepean have definitely seen that. And again, only within a span of 3 months there within the establishment phase of the program. Again, we've been able to advertise it in our jobs. Candidates are immediately asking, what is this program? How can I get access to it right away? From the moment that they're onboarded, they're asking, okay, can I book myself in? How do I do it? They've been able to get access to it immediately almost. And again, when people are considering other job opportunities, it's been one of the key points of how Nepean is seen as a key differentiator or a stronger employer.
Yeah, wow. That's such a great value add for an employer to be able to advertise that to fill vacancies, especially in the recent economic climate where we've had high vacancy rate of jobs as well. We've got low unemployment at the moment and as a result, high vacancy rate. So to have that as a draw card to actually attract talent to your business is important.
Absolutely.
Maybe, Ray, what are some of the important services that employers should consider to include in their financial wellbeing program that they need to sort of touch on? We've mentioned a few throughout: mortgage broker, insurance, income tax considerations.
Yeah. So see, what employers should consider there, Gianni, is when they're sort of partnering up with an EAP program, what part of EAP program also links up with the financial wellbeing program? Because it really goes hand in hand, right? So you've got the mental and the physical wellbeing, but really it's also the financial wellbeing that goes as a part of it. So employers should really consider going, well, okay, as part of that program, how can you then provide all of these additional services to us to help sort of retain employee and provide a happier workplace? Not only that, it's also providing a safe space for them to talk about money, because money is one of those topics people don't like to talk about.
Yeah, absolutely.
And especially if you look at a blue collar environment, they'd be the last people to be talking about it. They will not do it.
Yeah.
So it's sort of providing that safe environment. And as per what Zaynah just mentioned, having that chatter in the lunchroom that we're seeing at Nepean, that makes us really happy.
Yeah.
Because people are now openly going, well, I did this and this is the impact that it had on us. So for us, that's the proudest moment.
Yeah, I think that's important as well, because you turn private discussion into public discussion.
Yes.
And then a lot of people will see each other's case studies.
Yeah.
I saw a mortgage broker and this happened. I saw a financial planner and that happened. And then you start to remove that barrier. You start to remove the curtain, and it's no longer taboo to talk about these items as
because
well.
it's the root cause. It is actually, if you look at it, it's the root cause of creating mental health issues, especially in the current climate. You've got people who can't go to buy groceries, and $5 doesn't buy you much.
Yeah.
Right. If I look at my Woolworths bag,
especially the way my kids eat.
So it's adding to that part of the stress. And when you start to alleviate some of these stress by simply adding all of these measures, all of a sudden this is a really impactful financial wellbeing program, and employees are happier.
Yeah.
But also at the same time, you've got to make sure that they are, you're constantly checking in with them to make sure that they are also adhering to the program and not sort of going, great, I've done it, I'm just going to go back to my old habits now. Can't do that.
Yeah. And maybe a question for you, Zaynah, if anything, now that you've implemented this wellbeing program and it's been a few months down the track now, what advice do you have to other HR representatives, if any, if they're looking to implement a program like this?
Yeah, look, I really do believe that the future of financial wellness programs is strong. So for any professionals looking to embark upon such an exercise, it's very important for them to do their research and find a provider that really does truly complement their workforce. So to have a brief about some of the important measures that they're looking at implementing, whether it might be a mortgage specific or an accounting specific service that complements their workforce well, and then making sure that that provider does actually complement that. The other thing I'd also, that I'm actually quite thankful that Mayfair and the team at Ryker and TAC are quite good with, is they speak to the workforce like human beings. Now we're lucky enough to make sure that when they are talking about their super, and if they are part of the providers in which Mayfair do provide, rather than calling a hotline and waiting 30 minutes in line to be able to ask about their balance and how to be able to potentially access their super, they can now actually contact their dedicated account manager through the program. So again, it provides a much more human approach. It's a stronger personal touch. And again, it gives them confidence when dealing with their money.
Yeah, that's awesome. And maybe Ray, similar story. Now that, you know, going through the program, what sort of key takeaways do you have from the program to maybe provide to other employers that might be looking at implementing something like this?
So the key takeaways from our side was that ensure that you're engaging the right people, as what I've said before. It is key crucial because you can get this wrong.
Yeah.
Right. So you're finding out a bit more about what does that program look like, and if you don't know, I think it's good to ask. We're more than happy to sort of provide that basic element exercise to go, well, this is some of the key items that you should be looking for, and it will differ from workplace to workplace. A blue collar workplace is completely different to a white collar workspace. So you just need to make sure that the program fits the purpose and the core of what you try to do, and it's got to fit with the company values and goals. And how do you then deliver that program based on those core values of the company and the crowd that you're catering for?
Yeah, 100%. I think at the end of the day, the idea behind the wellbeing program is to provide overall general wellbeing and financial literacy to the workforce. And I think what you said before, Zaynah, about talking in a way that your employees understand and not being jargon heavy as well, because ultimately we want to, you know, transition employees from a state of unconscious incompetence to conscious incompetence. And you're not going to do that if you're just going to be spitting jargon at people at the same time. So removing those barriers to entry, you know, building that rapport, and ultimately providing a program that's going to build up the general well-being of your employees is all for the better, if anything. So look, Zaynah, Ray, really appreciate your time. Thank you for joining me. So Ray, if anybody has any questions about the financial wellbeing program, how's the best way to ask?
Generally, the best way to reach out is through Ryker website or Mayfair website, which we'll put that on the link below, but also the 1300 number for Ryker would be a good place to start.
Awesome. Zaynah, Ray, really appreciate your time.
Thank you, Gianni.
Thank you, Gianni.
All good.
The information provided in this podcast is for general information purposes only and should not be considered as personal advice. Always consult with a qualified professional or expert in the relevant field for personalised advice tailored to your specific situation.
If you enjoy the content we bring you on the Wealth Guide podcast, we'd love for you to subscribe and share with your community. Let's grow this community together and make financial literacy accessible to all.